Hi everyone, my name is Julia Garstecki and I am here today to talk with you about a book I wrote called Science in a Jar. In this book there's lots of different experiments about different kinds of science, and so I am just going to do a few of the experiments with you to show you how you can do them at home. And then if you are having fun with them, you can check out the book in your library and do some more on your own.
So for the elephant toothpaste experiment, you're going to need 3 tablespoons of warm water, 1 packet of active dry yeast, as well as something to open it with because it is difficult to do it yourself. You're going to need 1/3 cup of hydrogen peroxide, a squirt of dish soap. Food coloring is optional, I'd recommend it. You're going to want something to mix these into that's separate from the other bowls. I recommend 2 mixing spoons. You're going to want a jar for the experiment to happen in, and then you're going to want something to contain the experiment once it happens. Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I will be showing you the 6th experiment in the book, Elephant Toothpaste. So first, you're going to take 3 tablespoons of warm water and a packet of active dry yeast. So in active dry yeast, there's an enzyme called catalyst, and this speeds up chemical reactions. So you'll see that when we mix it with our other substances used in this experiment. So we're gonna stir this. It takes a little while because there's clumps, which is a little frustrating, but you know, it smells bad. So then over here, you're gonna take 1/3 cup of hydrogen peroxide. So now hydrogen peroxide it breaks down very easily. So this releases oxygen, which it'll be really interesting. You'll see this physically in a second. So here's 1/3 cup of hydrogen peroxide, and then you can add in whatever colors you'd like. This just makes it fun. It's not necessary, or else it'll just be white. So you put in a few drops of that, and then you're going to put in 1 squirt of dish soap. You can make it a little, I'd give it a healthy, pretty decent amount, just because it'll be foamier. So I'm going to stir this. Okay, so now you have your jar. Here we have a little glass, and you're going to want to put it in something that will be able to contain the foam when it comes over. That way cleanup is a lot easier. So you're going to first pour the hydrogen peroxide mixture into the jar. That was a pretty good pour. And then there's still a few clumps, but it should be okay. You're going to pour the yeast mixture into this, and be ready because this is when the explosion happens. And then it foams over, which is pretty cool. So this happens because the enzymes we talked about that are in here, the catalyst, when it mixes with the hydrogen peroxide, it speeds up the process of the hydrogen peroxide breaking down. So then the oxygen gets trapped. Then the oxygen goes into the soap, which creates the foam, which is why it explodes.
So let's talk about the experiment that Stephanie just did. After all, the baking soda and vinegar experiment is probably one of the most popular and common kitchen science experiments you can do. That's because you have baking soda in your pantry already. Baking soda is actually used in cookies and cakes and cupcakes. It's what gives those sweets their light and fluffy texture. It's called a compound known as sodium bicarbonate. So when you have a base like baking soda and you mix it with something called an acid like the vinegar, they're going to exchange something called protons to make a chemical reaction. So in other words, the base baking soda wants these things called protons. The vinegar has protons to give away. So what you see in that fizzing is the release of protons from the acid to the base. So when they mix, that is the chemical reaction that you are seeing. Hi, and today for this experiment, I have Miles and Emerson. They're very good friends of mine. And so they agreed to come and do this experiment with me as well. So we are going to do the experiment called It's a Colorful World. And the science in this experiment is a little bit about absorption and a little bit about color and how we see color. So first, I'm going to have Emerson is going to number the jars, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then Miles is going to show us how to fan fold some paper towels. Okay, so Miles, you want to take this one? Okay, can we show them how we fan fold? So we go once. You can lay it on the table like this, Miles. But that'll work too. Okay, there you go. Because it just needs to look like a little rectangle. Perfect. You can fold over one more time. All right, good. And then we're gonna make them nice and smooth. Okay, so now you're gonna take it from here, you're gonna bend it in half. Okay, yep, you're good. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna let you hold on to this one. Thank you. Okay, so now we have our jars numbered, right, Emerson?
Fold it in half.
Perfect. Okay, and then we're gonna need one more because you actually need 4 paper towels folded up. So Emerson, do you want to fold up one more for us?
Yep.
Thank you. And while Emerson is doing that, I'm going to pour some water into our jars, but I'm only going to pour them into every other jar. Okay, so we got that. Okay, then it's time to add our colors. Do you guys know about how 2 colors can join to make one color?
Yeah, primary and then joins to make secondary.
Exactly. Do you know what the primary colors are?
Yep.
What are they?
Red, yellow, and blue.
Right. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you know what happens if we mix like red and yellow?
It makes orange.
Okay, what if we mix yellow and blue?
Green.
Green. All right, so this is what we're gonna do for this experiment. We're going to have, Miles is gonna hold on to our paper towels. You and I are gonna add our coloring dye to the water. Okay, and we wanna make it so that we can make green and we wanna be able to make orange. So if I want to turn this jar green, what 2 colors do you think we'd have to put on either side of it?
I think you need to put yellow and then blue here.
Perfect. Do you want to add the yellow and I'll add the blue?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we're just going to add a couple drops. Just squeeze it on in there. You might have to like squeeze it pretty hard. There you go. Good. All right. And then if we want to make this one orange, this one is yellow. What color do we have to make that one?
Red.
Perfect. Do you want to add the red to it? All right. So the way we see color is that these objects that we see are absorbing certain colors and they reflect the color that you see. So in this jar of water, colors are being absorbed and only blue is being reflected. So that's what's happening with yellow and that is what is happening with red. Then the other cool part to this assignment is how paper towels work. So these paper towels, when you are at home and you're looking at these paper towels, there's these little like ridges and bumps in them. And it's actually made of something called cellulose or like sugar. And sugar likes to absorb water. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna take our paper towels and let me show you, I'll do one and then I'll have you boys do the others, okay? So can you hand me one paper towel, Miles? Thank you. Okay, so now I'm gonna set half of it in the blue and half of it in the dry. And now, Emerson, you can take one and put half in the dry and half in the yellow. Good.
Put.
Yep. Okay. And then Miles, do you want to take one of the paper towels and put one from yellow to the empty one, just like your brother did? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna unfold it like, there you go. So like this, and put that one in the empty. Okay, and now we're gonna take one from the empty jar and one to the red. So why don't you do that one for us too, Miles? Perfect. So what's gonna happen is we are gonna leave this alone for a couple hours, and when we get back to the experiment, it's going to look like this, where the colored water is going to be absorbed up the paper towel, and then when it gets filled up and the paper towel can't hold any more water, it's going to drop it into the empty jar. So this is gonna get some blue in it, and then the same thing here. The yellow water is gonna be absorbed into this paper towel, travel across the paper towel, and then when this one is too full of the water, it becomes saturated, and it's gonna dump some yellow water into this. And then as Emerson said, the blue water and the yellow water is gonna mix to make green water. All right, so we are gonna sit here and wait a couple hours for this to go down, and we'll show you the results in a little bit. Okay, so for this experiment, we are going to study salt water versus fresh water. If you have ever been to the ocean and you've gone swimming in the saltwater ocean, you'll notice that you can float on salt water easier than you can in fresh water. And that's because salt increases the density of the water. So to prove this experiment, we've got some eggs, jars of water, a quarter cup for measuring, and then some salt. So what we're going to do for this one is I'm going to fill Emerson's measuring cup with salt. And then Emerson will dump it into jar of water.
And bananas.
And bananas, because why not? Okay, go ahead and stir that up. Now, when we were doing this experiment to see if it worked for the book, one thing that we found was the salt level, like if our eggs weren't floating, we would add more salt. So that's a really good reminder that sometimes science doesn't work exactly how we think it's going to. So if you're at home trying this experiment and you can't get your egg to float, all you need to do is just add a little bit more salt. Okay, so we're gonna see if this quarter cup of salt works.
I think it's stirred enough.
You think it's stirred enough? All right, so Miles is gonna take an egg and gently drop it into the fresh water. Try it out. Perfect, okay? And what happened to it? Did it sink or float?
Sink.
It sunk. All right. Want to try putting an egg in the salt water? Okay. So when we look at it, and it might be hard to be on the screen, it looks like it's still kind of sinking. So we're going to mix this up a little bit. And this is what I mean about science experiments not always working. So I tell you what, because I think there's still a lot of salt on the ground. Make sure when we do this, we stir it really, really well so that all the water can kind of absorb the salt. Okay, and then once all the salt has been absorbed, any salt that is left on the ground, it's because the water is too saturated with salt and it won't absorb anymore. Kind of like the paper towel experiment. All right, so let's try to drop this in and let's see if this works now.
Can I drop it in?
You want to drop it in? Okay. Let's see this one. Oh, what's happening?
It's floating.
The egg is floating.
It's like a tornado.
It does look like a little tornado, doesn't it? All right, and so again, but the first time we put in the egg, it didn't work. So we had to stir a little bit more, and we tried it again, and this time it worked. Okay? Pretty
It's
cool,
like
huh,
it's
boys?
hanging out in the pool.
Yeah, it's hanging out in the pool. All right. Thanks, guys. I love being a nonfiction author, and that's because I love learning new things. Nonfiction authors can only write about things that are true. So whether you're writing about history or science, there's a lot of research you have to do before you can start writing. So when I decided to write this Science in a Jar book, I looked online, and I also looked in other books to get some ideas. I knew science was a little intimidating for me. I never really felt like I was a sciencey person. I worried about making a mess. I worried about things not working. But when I started to write this book, I realized that was part of the fun. So now, with Science in a Jar, as you read through the experiments, you'll see that there are suggestions that you could try to make your experiment go further. Okay, and that's because once we get started doing this and we stop worrying about making mistakes, we become real scientists. Because real scientists can't guarantee that what they're going to do is going to work. What scientists will do, though, is when they make a mistake or something doesn't work out quite the way they thought it would, they actually start to research, why did this mistake happen? So maybe as you are doing some of these experiments, maybe you need to stir up the salt water a little bit more. Maybe you need to add a little more baking soda or vinegar. Whatever the case may be, just have fun with this book. There are so many more experiments to be done in Science in a Jar that we didn't get to do here. And I want to encourage you to check it out from your librarian and just go home and have fun. Everything in this book can be found in your kitchen or easily in a grocery store. Whether you go buy some jars of pickles or jars of peanut butter or baby food jars, you can use any kind of jar for these experiments. And again, the most important thing is to have fun.